By all accounts, Suzuki makes a fantastic motorcycle, but with their new GSX-8S, they are walking through a neighborhood filled with killers, and I think that their survival depends on one thing, and I think they're missing the mark on it. But first, let's talk about what the 8S has to offer, because there is a lot to like. Let's start with the power plant. The 8S comes with an all-new 776cc 270-degree parallel twin with a dual overhead cam setup and an up and down quick shifter. The motor is reported to have 82 horsepower and 57 pound-foot of torque at 6,800 RPM. The engine makes use of dual balancers to minimize the tendency of an engine like this to vibrate and be a bit thumpy. Without a doubt, this engine is going to sound great, and if Suzuki's recent history gives us any clues, it's likely to be very reliable. Suspension comes to the GSX-8S by way of a 41mm KYB front fork setup and KYB rear shock with adjustable preload, and all this mates to the road with a set of Dunlop Road Sport 2 tires that have been newly designed for Suzuki. These are going to provide ample grip in wet or dry conditions, they'll warm up quickly, and offer long tread life. How long specifically, we don't know. The 8S also comes with a nice range of electronics and rider's aids. For starters, it comes with a 5-inch TFT display that can be set to either day or night mode. It does not have an IMU or an inertial measurement unit, so there aren't going to be any lean sensitive controls, but it does have 4 settings for traction control, which includes off, 3 power modes, 1, 2, and 3, and it comes with ABS. And there are 2 really user-friendly electronic features that stand out to me. First is the low RPM assist system, which essentially boosts RPM when you start to let out the clutch from a stop, which will reduce the likelihood of stalling, which I think is great for novice rider or any rider really that just happens to be distracted. And second is the easy start system, which allows you to start the bike with this simple press of a button rather than having to press and hold like you do currently. I'll be honest, it's touted as a selling point. I'm not sure how many riders actually care about this, but in this category, every additional feature helps. And I have to talk about the design. And to be honest, I'm not impressed. I think that it looks better than the Honda Hornet, although I do like the graphics on the Hornet and the color schemes on the Hornet a little bit better. But generally speaking, I think that they've taken too much inspiration from the MT-07, specifically around the front headlights, where they have a central headlight with 2 flanking light blades next to it. It's the same idea as the Yamaha, except less interestingly executed. The same thing can be said for the side fairings that flank the tank. It's a similar silhouette to what we'll see on the MT-07, but the actual forms and the execution aren't as interesting, aren't as well executed. In isolation, the 8S is probably going to be a fantastic bike, but Suzuki, you're not alone. You have some stiff competition from Yamaha and from Honda. The 8S does have more horsepower and torque than the MT-07, but at 445 pounds, it's nearly 50 pounds heavier than the MT-07, which can make a significant difference in the overall feel of the bike on the road. The Suzuki does include a host of electronics that are not found on the MT-07. Most notable are the traction control, the rider modes, and that up and down quick shifter. Now, the Hornet is also about 25 pounds lighter than the Suzuki, has similar torque, but has 8 to 10 more horsepower than the Suzuki. The Hornet has a similar range of electronics, but does come with wheelie control and a user adjustable rider mode, which will give the rider a bit more control over the settings than they'll have on the Suzuki. It also has a USB-C charging port, which is arguably more useful than the Easy Start system that's advertised on the 8S. So when we compare engine output and electronics features, we can see a scenario where Suzuki is placed firmly in between the MT-07 and the Honda Hornet. But the kicker here, and this is where I think things can go south very quickly for Suzuki, is the price. The official price for the 8S has not been released, but early reporting is placing it at about $9,500. Now, if you add the cost of freight and destination charges to the MT-07 and the Honda Hornet, $9,500 for the Suzuki puts it $600 higher than the MT-07 and $450 higher than the Honda Hornet. In this highly competitive segment where price point matters to the consumer, I think Suzuki is setting themselves up for massive failure. Now, to be fair, pricing for the Hornet and for the 8S are not final, so this could change. But if current knowledge holds true, Suzuki is in for a rough night in the ring with the MT-07 and the Honda Hornet. And listen, if you're not looking for the sharpest price point and you want to throw your leg over something with more premium features and potentially more power, take a look at this video here. And if you haven't already, leave a like and subscribe.